Sudhir, come in. Sudhir, come in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you just do a check?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Just be careful. My thing is little unstable. So be careful.
Okay, sir. Okay, I will make you host. Host
Ah,
and huh?
okay.
Okay.
Make me co-host.
Sorry.
Make me co-host.
Okay.
My thing is little unstable.
Yeah. Okay, I will make you host.
Okay. Make me co-host.
Yes, sir.
Make me co-host.
Okay.
My thing is little
Sir, I also come in. This is because you and Kumar is there online.
I'll be giving the vote of thanks. Okay.
Sir, I also come in. Because
Hello.
Kumar is there.
Hello.
Just a moment, sir.
I'll be giving.
सर YouTube लाइव भी हो गया है सर.
That we will share once it starts meeting, and then मैसेज भेजने के लिए वो बना के हमको भेजो, फोटो लगा, फोटो निकाल के. ठीक है.
ओके सर.
The WhatsApp.
सर अभी रिमाइंडर भेजता है सबको.
Yeah.
काय?
सुधीर.
हाँ बोलो सर.
और रामजी वाला भेजा हमको.
हाँ एक मिनट अभी भेजता है. रेडी है सर.
Hello, madam. I think your Uh, it's mute. You are mute.
Good evening. Good evening. How are
Yeah,
you?
madam, can you hear me loud and clear?
Very well. Very well. Yes.
Okay, I'll make you also the co-host. Just
Hmm.
give me a minute. Sudhir, hello, Sudhir.
Sorry, sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Please go.
can make madam also the co-host. Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Madam post. Okay.
Meanwhile, I'll just check my presentation.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
तो मैडम को
सर अभी मैडम को पोस्ट बना दिया है
सर आपको
Thanks.
क्या
Okay. I'm able to share. Okay. I'll just open my.
little bit better.
So let me just share and see.
Yes, madam. Please go ahead. Let me check.
PDF is enough, no? Or should I open PPT, which is
Just try. Just try. We'll have it.
Ah.
I already said it no.
so? How does it appear? Should I go?
Yeah, but I can see your PC also, no? So you need to put it on the other mode.
How do I do that? And some present mode is there for PDF.
I think you should like presentation mode, no? Now we can only see. Yeah, I think it's okay now. That's fine.
No,
Can
no.
you scroll? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
मैडम
Fine.
मिनिमाइज और मैक्सिमाइज सर
Zoom.
हाँ
Okay, let me also try the.
we are having time you can try madam no problem.
Yeah. Let me also stop share is where. Is it still on? Stop share. Okay. It's here. Okay. Share. Now this I can go for full screen. How is it now? I think you went on mute, both of you.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Some have the settings, I couldn't undo it, but mostly they're all fine. Just seeing if everything is loading. So PPT is better, no, than PDF?
This is better. Better.
PDF I'll email for handout because it'll become a heavy file with all this
Right.
settings and images. So
Yeah.
and clarity is also good
okay.
Yeah.
This is better. Okay. Then we'll stick to this only. Okay. So we have time, no, till.
We have time, madam.
can we put on mute madam
I think I'm in a hotel room. Hope this lighting is okay. It doesn't look too dark and it's okay. Okay. I'll be back in 10 minutes then.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm coming. I'll take them out. I've already taken out the stuff for tomorrow. Okay. If I pay, then I peel them and put them in the leaf. How much?
Good evening, Data Sab.
म्यूट कर लो।
You are muted. Good evening, sir. You are mute. Data Sab, you are muted. Now okay.
Okay, okay. Good evening, Shashi.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
Good evening. I'm fine, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
सर साहब का वाइफ का सर्जरी हो गया है। She was in hospital day for yesterday. दत्ता साहब का
My brother is still is supposed to be released today, but they kept him for further check.
सर कुछ बैंक में जा रहे
हाँ, बैंक में गया था। बैंक का स्टेटमेंट के लिए बोल के आया हूँ। कल देख वो लोग कल बुलाया है।
ओके वेरी गुड सर वेरी गुड थैंक यू सर थैंक यू। हाँ अभी कैसे है वाइफ का तबीयत कैसा है अभी?
हाँ।
Cannot hear, no voice.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible now. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The office video.
Okay, Sashi, I'm around.
So thank you for joining, Bhandarkar Saab. We will start at 6 o'clock sharp.
Yes, 1 minute to go.
Madam, this is Captain Bhandarkar. He is the Secretary General of the company of Masterman.
Good evening, Mr. Bandar.
Good evening, ma'am. I heard a lot about your abilities.
You know, when time passes by, this keeps getting collected. That's all. Yeah.
Hello, Santakumar. Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening,
for joining.
Santa Kumar.
Good evening.
भंडारकर सर गुड इवनिंग कैप्टन श्री प्रकाश
Namaskar, sir.
नमस्कार सर कैसे हो सर
23, 24, 25 का जो भी आपका मीटिंग रहेगा वो मैं फिर
Bhandarkar Saab,
yeah,
we will start sharp at 6 o'clock because Singapore time, is ahead. So, and then people may join in as they come in. Is it okay, madam? So that, yeah, a very good evening to everyone. I will just welcome Captain Bhandarkar, our Secretary General, to just give the welcome address. Come in, sir.
can I start?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everybody. It's really nice to see some very well-known persons. Captain Prakash, Captain Deer, Santa, Captain Datta, sir. So let me start off. This mental wellness, mental well-being is nowadays becoming a very big issue, and we need a lot more expertise to be passed on to younger generations, people who are at work. So, on behalf of the Company of Masterminders of India, I warmly welcome you to today's session, Navigating Mental Health, the Psychological Dimensions of Shipping Sector. Thank you to all participants, our esteemed speakers, maritime professionals, cadets, and colleagues joining us from across the country and beyond. Mental health is becoming very important topic. Today, seafarers as well as personnel ashore require to be mentally healthy. Senior officers are opting for bulk carriers rather than stay on tankers where higher salary is earned because they don't want stress. I know of shore staff who get panic attacks when work pressure is high. So, mental health is a growing concern in our industry. Long contracts, isolation, high stress can take a toll on seafarers. This session aims to explore these challenges and how we can better support our people at sea. We are honored to have with us Dr. Sandhya Rani, consultant organizational and counseling psychologist, who brings valuable insights into mental health aspects of maritime life. Let's today discuss the beginning of lasting change towards a safer, healthier, and more supportive shipping industry. Thank you once again and welcome everybody. Welcome Dr. Sandhya Rani. and I hope I can also pick up some points. I will also be listening for some time, but this is, we look forward to your session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I will now welcome Captain Santakumar to introduce our speaker, Dr. Sandhya Rani. Come in, Santa.
Good evening, friends, and our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sandhya Rani Ramdas. The topic is navigating mental health. I think most of the master mariners and the others here, they are all well familiar with navigating at sea and many other things. But probably mental health may not be a topic which many of us might have heard or maybe attended a lecture on this one. Our speaker, Dr. Sandhya Rani, I met her few weeks ago in Dubai during a friendly breakfast meeting, and immediately after the introduction, I asked her whether she will be available for a lecture to be organized by CMMI. Immediately she gave the consent, and that is how this particular session has been organized. Dr. Sandhya Rani is a trained psychologist. She did her MA in English from University of Madras. Before that, she has done her MSc in psychology from University of Madras. Then she did then she has got a PhD in psychology. She is currently working or very closely associated with the Synergy Group. That is because her husband, Captain Ramdas, is one of the senior officers with Synergy. Dr. Sandhya Rani is an organizational psychologist. Her career includes guiding student counseling, occupational psychology, psychometry research, training and counseling, specialized in CBT. She is a member of the psychological bodies such as BPS, APA, IAAP, INSPA, IAPS, CCF. Probably she will be able to guide us more on this aspect. She has got about 20-25 years of experience in counseling and training people of various age groups. She has trained occupational testing. She has been trained in occupational testing from an institute in Singapore, a leadership evaluation from Mars Group, and wellness at sea by Sailors Society, and well experienced and qualified person. Currently, she is a consultant on psychology, a consultant psychologist for Synergy Maritime. I welcome Dr. Sandhya Rani to the CMMI and to this gathering for today's session. Let us hear her and make our navigation very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And it's very heartwarming to see everyone looking forward to with all your experiences. I think I will give my few pennies worth as well. So may I start sharing?
Yes, you can start, madam.
Yeah. Okay. Is this visible on the screen? Is the screen visible?
Yes, madam, it's clear.
Visible.
Okay. So, yes, that was the brochure given that made my first page, composing very easy. Let me start. I think you have already introduced me. Otherwise, many times, I'm asked to introduce myself. It's a long journey. Psychology is not something that you just study and, it's like a medical field only. Once you do your UG, PG, and then you do your, specialization, and then you do your PhD. So, PhD, MSc in the reverse, and then we have to also work under some senior psychologist so that they will guide us on their, skills, and we keep learning all the licensing and certification. It's not a overnight thing, everything at least we need 1 month of work. All the, exams that you give to get your, master's license. It's very similar. We keep giving exams, we keep attending training programs, we keep getting supervised so that we, are qualified, and we keep working in our area of interest. I chose shipping for obvious reason that Captain Shantakumar told. I can say I have a family full of seafarers. There are at least 4 people in my family, my cousin, my nephews, all in shipping. And, so being with them, when I was thinking of what to choose for my research area, my PhD was on seafarers and their work environment, So when there was a dilemma, I decided, okay, let me work on seafarers and their mental health area rather than just doing another intervention, another survey, let this be my specialty. So I can call myself a maritime psychologist if there is such a term. Yes. So today, when we discussed, however the topic indicates, we are going to talk about, first of all, key components of mental health and how to maintain, manage mental health. And then we'll move on to the introduction to some psychological dimensions that we need to know, at least as seniors, over the years, when we gather some experiences, we also need to know few key concepts so that we can keep that in mind while we are interacting with people or planning programs with people. I think there's a separate Q&A questions. Let me know if the audio or screen is stuck. Right now I'm on slide 4. Hope the flow is there. Yes, slide 4 is visible.
Yes, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Manish.
Just keeping check. Sometimes, it may get stuck, so I'm just keeping check. And so let's start. Every year, WHO releases there is a World Mental Health Day on October 10th, where all mental health professionals, there are marathons, there are talks, there are discussions, there are conferences about how to promote mental health. And when we say mental health, it's not just psychologists. We have social workers, we have psychiatrists, we have whoever is there in the volunteers, whoever is there in the helping profession, they all come together. Families who have people who are affected by mental health issues, schools, hospitals, they all come together to celebrate this day. They invite people to have lectures and talks. So this year theme is to prioritize mental health in the workplace. Last year, it was mental health is a universal right. Nobody can say your mental health is not that important. Focus on your work, finish my job. Because if somebody says my mental health is affected, they have to prioritize work on it before coming back. The chances of making mistakes or something going wrong is more when they're not in their healthy state of mind. Yeah. There is often stigma. I am sure many of you might also have had when you say the word psychology or psychologist, somebody going to a counselor. Even I have faced my own clients when they come to my room, and when I step out, they won't even look at me. They don't want to acknowledge me because they think if people know that I spoke to a psychologist, then they will think I am mad. What will people think of me? Will I get married? Will I get a job? Nobody will. When I started my career, it had to be very secretive. No, not even a board was, permitted, because if people see them entering the clinic with a board as, psychologist, then they feel like they might be stigmatized and, whatnot. So these are all the stigmas, it's a lifelong condition. You need lifelong medication. This never happened to my family members. Why did it happen to me? I don't have any traumatic incident or, defining moment. Why did I get? So a lot of stigma is there and a lot of myths related to it, that mental health issues are not curable, it makes you weaker, you're dependent, suddenly you are unpredictable, unreliable, people are dangerous, sometimes even contagious, they're unreliable. So many myths are there. And the fact is that if that was there, then nobody will be working in, breaking this stigma so much, because with adequate support, any illness is manageable and curable. Many times it's the symptoms, which more the problem is inside. It's like you have the virus, but only the fever is addressed, right? So it's something like that. What we see, these odd behaviors or people feeling down, are only what's happening to the body. It's only a manifestation of those symptoms. So once we manage the symptoms and continued therapy for the issues inside, it's quite manageable. You won't even know that people have been to therapy. They say people with illness can be weak, but actually no, because in therapy we teach them so many techniques that they are able to manage some stressful situation much better than somebody who's not been to therapy. So they mentally, actually they become slowly very strong. They're able to handle things much better. And they're not dependent. They, as an adult, they can work, unless it's, there are so many grades and levels. Just because one condition makes them not fit to work doesn't mean that they cannot work at all. If they're properly treated, or if they're properly, counseling and therapy is taking place, the resuming life back to routine is not at all an issue. Not all illnesses have the same symptoms. Not all of them are violent and aggressive, right? It is not contagious. And when we discriminate or when we isolate someone and call them unfit for work, actually you are making their condition worse, because it's going to make them feel more and more dependent and less, away from the society. So it is going to worsen the condition when we isolate them, right? Why do we need mental health discussions in this industry? Of course, high hazard industry. Imagine if you're walking near a building which can catch fire anytime, right? What is going to happen? Obviously we are going to be really stressed. We will walk like, really scared. I hope it doesn't fall on me. Imagine if it's a hazard industry is a explosive industry, anytime anything may go wrong, and shipping has been put under that high hazard industry category. So obviously people, like previously Kevin was talking about how people are choosing bulk carrier instead of tankers. Why? Because it's hazard. It's causing them stress. The fear of anything it may happen anytime is making them, all the pressure to follow so many rules is making them avoid that stress at all. Yeah, so it is a high hazard industry. Priceless human life is involved, the environment is involved, so much of investment is involved, right? We can't imagine a world without rail. And this is not an industry which is going to go away or become obsolete. There is going to be always people wanting to sail, or people wanting to import or export, or bring in things, because we are typically, it's becoming a very global village. So every country has every facility now, or at least aiming to provide, and obviously they need shipping as one of their providers, right? Another biggest stress is constant adaptation to the changes, the policies. Every country is different. That's again a big stress. Now, all this stress is going to cause, create some blocks, create some fear. Earlier, we were talking about panic attacks. All these are natural. This will lead to that naturally. Gone are the days when you say you have to be tough. It's not that, you become tough automatically just because you're a sailor. We all grew up in different times, and we are tough for different reasons. Maybe not for this. So it doesn't mean that a person is not tough. Maybe they're not tough for here, but still they can work. They are qualified, right? So we have to see how to create an environment where people are able to bring out their best. Many people join shipping, I'm sure, for one of these reasons. It's a different job. I can travel. The salary is good, and it's a very adventurous job. This is what they say, right? But what they may not say is, all these things that are never discussed. We are never paid for it. Nobody pays you for your homesickness. Nobody pays you for, it's almost like a family, right? Only 15, 20 people working in a small group. There is no change. So many nationalities. Many times not everyone communicates freely. and the changing time zones, and even if you feel stressed, nobody to recognize or acknowledge it, so many times burnout is very normal. What is going to happen when you're continuously giving, you become empty at some point. No immediate access to doctor medical support. It's always on call. Too many exams. It's difficult to get up. Many, during my classes with HIMT and, the Synergy cadets, or even, all the safety training that we do, they always talk about how, it's difficult to get married because nobody wants a sailor nowadays. Earlier, it was a fancy thing, but now it's like, you're always away and you're not there to provide us support. Right. So that's one of the things that's repeatedly told by people, I happen to interview or meet. PTSD is another issue never spoken about. You watch an accident, you watch something, some major mishap. Are you given counseling to come out of it? It's going to haunt us. We see one small accident on the road, it keeps bothering us, for a few days and weeks. Imagine something really big you watch, or some big consequence, some big failure, some inspection you failed. These are all big traumas and stress. And we don't even have time to recover and come out of it. So PTSD is something that is never addressed much. Yeah. Relationships getting affected, a lot of communication gap, and the connectivity issues, dire consequences for mistakes. We all talk about blame culture. We're always talking about whom to find fault with, and not every company has adopted the just culture. So there are always dire consequences even for small mistakes, which can be very small when you come ashore, but it's even one small mistake, and it's a big consequence. Stringent deadlines and workload also, so these are issues because of which there is loneliness, stress and fatigue, a lot of conflicts, generation gap issues. Hierarchical structure creates a lot of fear. You're always either with the senior or a junior. It's very difficult. You always have to gauge and watch your language, how you talk to a junior. I shouldn't sound too harsh or harassing. How to talk to a senior so that he doesn't see me as somebody who's aggressive. It's a constant adaptation while working with people. There are, urges to so easily, and no family to stop you, right? You want to end of day have a drink or anything, nobody's there to stop you. Now, many ships are not, there to provide alcohol, but there's no other recreation. Easy to get into any kind of addiction. Now, phone addiction is a bigger problem than alcohol or cigarette addiction, because there is no other diversion as well. And then we have so many outbursts, issues with sleep. Sleep can mess with the brain. Sleep can mess with your decision making, cognitive skills, focus, attention. It's because it's a small environment we can't see. Otherwise, all this sleep is not helping. These are some of the studies that, when we were doing our research, all the factors that have been studied and published in journals, which has been recognized that these are all, consequences which seafarers are suffering from, right? So what is the mental health issue resulting because of all of this? Anxiety. We even spoke about panic attacks. Yeah, anxiety is the fear of future, fear of what will happen, constantly worrying, so you lose your sleep. Depression, aggressive behaviors, violent episodes. There are times when people lose control of, they lose their judgment. Self-harming. Sometimes when you can't control anything outside, you end up hurting yourself. Your body is the only thing that you can control, right? So self-harming, suicidal tendencies, it's a big issue, right? And easily there is nothing to stop you from jumping, and not even a big wall there. It's something you can see the water right away, and very impulsive ones can easily happen. The planned ones, at least we can notice when people are talking something is off. But when it's an impulsive thing, what do? We want to prevent all this. We want to save people, right? Grief. They're not able to cope with the grief of either separation, or not able to support someone when they are needed. And many times there's also one issue of they may take medications and probably their medicines are over, and then they're too scared to ask for more medication, and their condition is worsening, and they don't feel free to openly ask about it. So that aside, these are also factors. This is from the book The Human Factors by Wickens, Human Factors Engineering. So he talks about this is across all industries, and I am sure ship has all of this also, right? What he says is even 6 of this is enough to cause extreme distress. Whereas can you tell me how many are there typically on a day-to-day basis on board when somebody is working? Whether it is noise or working in different temperatures or, these controls displays hazards, age, ability, stress, so many factors are there. Right? And yes, every industry wants to reduce human error. And many times the best thing we can do is keep checking the biases, ask them not to go by just habit, always double check what they're doing. What are these conditions contributing to slips, lapses, mistakes, cognitive failures? There are individual factors and there are external environmental factors. Probably the individual factors is something that we don't know what's happening, but external factors definitely as a group we all can work on. How to reduce mental workload, how to reduce the threat that people feel due to blame culture for things that they may not have, it might have happened very unintentionally, right? And here again, both organizational and individual should work collaboratively and not shift the load on only one person. It's not just the organization or not just the individual. They both should work together. How to enhance working condition, mental health, and sustain focus, be productive. These are all the goals organization wise, right? So how are we going to benefit out of working on these things? Stress is not going to go away, right? It's going to be there. But how are you dealing with the stress is what we are teaching them. There may be traditional methods, there may be novel methods. Research is always going on. So how do we teach people how to deal with stress so that they are able to reduce their reaction, they're emotionally stable, they develop their resilience, develop positive thinking, ways on dealing with it rather than ways of avoiding with it, better relationships. So all this only if you're mentally in a state of mind, you can focus on it. If you're already very depressed and isolated, you're not going to think of, oh, how do I work on my relationship with my colleague or senior? It's going to be something that will slow you down. Right. Now, when it comes to psychology, we study all four, right? We study about how thoughts, human things and their experience, how they react to them, emotions, how they act upon it, the behaviors, how the body responds to it. We all know the stress and, flee, what is it, flight or fire, freeze and fight and flight. Now, most of the time, what is visible is behaviors. We are not able to see anything else. Whereas it is contributing to everything. Our thoughts influence our body influence our emotions and behaviors. So they're all interconnected. So when we work on behaviors alone, unless we work on the thoughts and emotions and the body, it's not going to change completely, maybe temporarily. So we need to work on all the four. So that is the cognitive behavioral approach. Typically, this approach was used in therapy. Now, this is how the brain looks. And you can see that each part of the brain has a different function. That's why even when we do IQ tests, there are multiple subtests because it tests different parts of the brain, different functions. And all these activity is all from here only. It's not coming from anywhere else. So unless we take care of the brain and our emotion, when the emotions are triggered, when the stress responses are triggered, everything slows down. Everything is hijacked. And that's the reason we need to focus on balancing it, managing it. I think, yeah. Now, there are some disorders. I will not say every mental health issue can be easily solved by only a psychologist. There are times when we need a psychiatrist. There are times when we need a clinical psychologist. There are certain diagnostic criteria which is released by WHO and APA. APA is American Psychological Association. DSM-5 is what they have released. It's like the guideline on what symptom means what illness, how to cope with it, what are the medications needed. So these are reference books that we need to understand that not everything is voluntary. Sometimes it could be a disorder or a illness which is already there. Maybe they're born with it. Maybe they developed it over childhood. Maybe because it was because of a trauma, or maybe the very ship environment triggered some, illness which was not there, but because of the environment, something was triggered. We don't know. So we have to understand, is it psychotic, neurotic, environment related, understand the symptoms. Of course, you all cannot become a thorough in ICD-10 overnight. We're not asking you for that. But observe symptoms. This person usually enjoys TV. Nowadays, he's not coming for TV. This person usually enjoys the coffee time. Nowadays, he's not enjoying. And observe the number of times, that these things happen. What is the duration, frequency? Is it managed with medication or without medication? It's always good to ask, did you ever think of dying? Are you taking any psychiatric medication? So have you been diagnosed with anything? Even whether they say openly or not, sometimes there is a cry for help. They may want to talk to someone about it. They may want to open about it, right? So just observe routine, how to notice the symptom, observe erratic pattern. See if a day to day the person's absence or fights are increasing, they stop enjoying what they like, not in touch with reality. Very unreasonable things like, I'm going to buy a ship tomorrow, the president is my uncle, I will do whatever. Very unrealistic things that they will talk about, very exaggerated. Always talking in extremities, unusual behaviors, which is there consistently for at least 15 days. You notice their sleep is getting disturbed, their eating patterns have changed. At least for 15 days to a month, you will notice there is a change. That's when we have to check if they have prescriptions. If you suspect that they may harm themselves, then of course we should not leave them alone, keep them under a watch. See if they need medication and symptoms are reducing after medication, then they will be perfectly back to normal. Encourage daily routine. Often they don't want to come for breakfast. They don't want to take a bath. Just encourage, force them to go for the daily routine, because that hourly, 24-hour cycle really helps them kickstart. Yeah. We have a lot of support group and helplines. Of course, still we don't have people who can completely empathize. One of the complaints that many seafarers say when they're provided helpline is that person doesn't even know what a ship is. They don't understand when I say, whether it's a tanker or a container, or they don't even understand when I say a chief officer or a junior. So what do I talk to them? So I think that is one area that where we need people providing support who can empathize better with this group. Right? Report abnormal behaviors, even if it is a false alarm. Many times, yeah, we are not, accurate doctors, so we may not be able to directly say, oh, this person is going through depression. But if you feel something is missing, it's okay, even if it's false alarm. Just raise the alarm. Just let people know. Let them call, to call the company or the doctor. Right? Now, I want to talk about this barefoot counseling briefly. It's not a counseling session training, but this is a training given to those who are in the front line. This is a training given to people who are directly interacting, with the people who can. And this is something that you can do on each other also. It's not that only one person and provides everyone. So once slowly everyone gets training, it's a method on how to provide. When we have any crisis, there are volunteers coming, and that time you just provide a first aid, right? Like just to calm the situation. So this is a training, barefoot counseling, given to seniors, people who are confident on helping. Like, okay, I can at least be a good listener here. So it's a technique on how to provide counseling, how to have conversation, how to listen to them, how to notice their body language, how to be approachable, how I make sure that they don't feel they're being judged for their conditions, right? So all this will help them to make more realistic decisions and solve their problems, right? And who needs counseling? Everyone needs counseling, and any kind of change which causes stress, which we feel like, oh, I'm helpless, I don't know what to do now. You either talk to a friend or an adult, but you can also talk to a counselor when there is no one else easily available, right? So we all need counseling at some point or the other. Some of the types of barefoot counseling is educating them. Suppose they say, I don't know, my son is now 12 years, he's not listening, talking. Explaining them about teenage and adolescence is also one kind of education, right? So explaining about how a woman's body changes, hormones changes, explaining to men about when you reach 45 or 50, there is something called midlife crisis. These are different life stages, and so we need to work accordingly. So that's something that, and help them relax, help them, become more process oriented is what barefoot counseling is all about. I think this training is very helpful when you are going to be a responder. think this is a done to death topic, but I cannot ignore stress. Everybody talks about stress, but I really want to talk more about coping. That is the whole crux of the presentation. Stress is always going to be there in so many forms. There are long-term stress, short-term. Sometimes a day-to-day stress also can cumulatively become a very big stressor, right? And what is coping skills? Using our resources to cope with all this stress. Now, there are healthy coping, and there are not so healthy coping. Healthy coping is, something that helps us to be productive, be self-aware, getting social support, exercising. When you're really stressed, you want to just go for a walk and come out, go out, take some, fresh air and then come back. These are all healthy coping. Be assertive and ask for support. Remember to relax your body. Ask right questions. Not so healthy coping. First thing is always addiction. Go for a smoke. Go for a drink. Excessive screen time. Anything that the mind wants to forget. Escape. Getting into conflicts, arguments, repeating negative patterns, blaming, harming oneself, yelling and fighting, especially the loved ones. They won't even know why this person is suddenly in a mood. And it's glorified, okay, the wife or the husband saying, okay, she's in a bad mood, let her show her anger on me. No, that is not right. Let's not encourage, you abusing your own family member because you cannot deal with your issues. Right. So who's going to take care of the other person after you did all the yelling and shouting? Right. So giving up easily, isolating oneself is also a negative coping. Like they just shut themselves off, right? Some quick coping techniques, we can all do it. Grounding techniques is, using your senses to come to the present moment. Like few things, like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, something that you remember tasting. So if not anything, just water. So this is a grounding technique. Spot jogging. Okay, you don't have to go out. Just stand in one place and do some jogging. Your heart will pump out all the blood to the brain and you'll feel better. Sip some water. Deep breathe. Focusing on the breath. That's a mindful practice. Just focus on your breath for 5 minutes. Just observe your body and breathing. That diverts you from everything else. Every 30 minutes, remember, don't be static in one place. Keep moving. Just if you're even in your desk chair, get up and sit down. Go get your pen or water bottle and come back. Find an excuse to keep moving. Keep telling yourself, I am in control of my life. The situation is not controlling me. I am controlling the situation. Try to prioritize. Okay, there are so many things happening. Let me start one by one. Let me focus on one by one. Sometimes, when the brain is too clouded, too many things happening, it's good to go back to the books, check the manual or the process, something already typed and written. It's maybe something you memorized, you already know. But even you are, too many things are running in your brain, or when you go blank, no, just go to the manual and follow the process. So there is something guiding you instead of you always thinking about what to do. And please do your stretches. Very important, because every time your body is stressed or fatigued, your muscles are clamping. So drink water and do stretches so that your muscles are always, working well. Long-term coping habits, healthy habits, like holidays, recreations, having a hobby. Everyone should have a hobby. Whether you follow the hobby during your vacation or also while you're sailing, it's up to you, but it's important to have a hobby. That's unpaid work. That's where your passion builds up, So remember to have quality time with your family, have routine sleeping habits. Once in a while, go for spiritual well-being. I'm not talking about temples and yatras alone. It can be anything that makes you feel connected to nature, connected to the world. So it can be anything. If you get that during your temple visits, even fine. But always have some travel in your life, because whenever we travel, we see new places. Our brain is learning a lot of things, and learning keeps the brain fit. Learning always keeps the brain energized. So new information is always good for the brain. Invest in relationships, support groups, have your people around you so that you know whom to call when you are under distress. Now, the present approach, latest approach in counseling and therapy is called the solution focused approach, because many times people don't want to talk about their trauma. There is not much time also, no. So simple questions. Okay, the problem is there. What do we do now? So how would we make it better? What changes can we implement? I know something is running in your mind. So what can we do now to, what is the goal and how do we reach that? Let's not focus on what happened again and again and go through the distress. Let's focus on where to go from here. So this is the solution focused approach. So the shift from the problem is now to the Solution, like if there was a miracle, what would we do? Preferred future, you know. At the workplace, maintaining mental health, small things, simple things that we can do are, I have categorized into 3 areas: managing people, managing self, and managing work. Giving psychological safety for your people, developing healthy coping for self, and work towards job satisfaction and efficiency. I think managing work, there are tremendous techniques available to you, given to you, all your leadership training, help training. Everything is a repeated thing, and new strategies are constantly coming up. One new trainer will come, he will come up with a new setting. All your time management, decision making problem, everything is connected to the brain, but there are also skills. So that means any skill is something that the human brain can learn, because the human brain has the ability to learn. Okay. Apart from that, we also want to encourage people to, like your association is there, right? So you have a very nice, bonding within yourself. Be part of some membership and association. Don't just go on vacation, sit in your, house, enjoy the vacation and come back. And use that time to, you're not working. This is basically, you're building your, network and a group, your support system. Constantly upgrade your resume as a process. Like every month I'm going to upgrade my resume. Every month I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to continuously upgrade. Some new thing has come. Let me read about it. You have endless videos on YouTube, so many free courses on Udemy. So there are so many, options for you to upgrade. Get introduced to it. If you like it, then you can probably do it at a more higher level. Right? Learn, keep yourself updated. There are many who quit and then finally they don't even know how to make a proper PPT. It's not right, right? Attend self-development programs. Use all the support you have around you. Right? When it comes to managing people, I think most important is to create psychological safety, to be able to empathize with people around you. And I think that's a very human skill. To have gratitude, forgiveness, altruism, which are higher order emotions, because there are happy hormones released when you have practiced all three, and it is not just for you, even for the other person. When you're helping someone, you feel good, others also feel good, because the other person feels I have someone. Same way with forgiveness and thanking people. Maintaining healthy relationships. Working on relationship is an ongoing process. Encourage people to talk about things which normally nobody wants to talk about. Encourage people to have, awkward conversations. Encourage people to open up even small things. Invite people's inputs and respond when they are talking something. You may already know it, but that's how you train the juniors to start talking more, right? Right. First is be a role model first. You cannot tell others to be more assertive unless you are assertive. You cannot tell others to be more transparent unless you are transparent. So we need to be role models. I have listed many more activities. I'm just discussing 2 or 3, and you're going to get this as a handout. Laughing at oneself, and sometimes, let just people be. They don't have to be the way you want them to be. A person has to be their own self, right? We don't have right over everyone's lives. So let a person be what they want to be, right? We can't control it. Just do some casual games and activities with them. Small things. Say thank you. Wow. Let's watch a movie together. Let's have coffee together. Small activities which creates opportunities for bonding. And make sure when you're having your off time, say during your lunchtime, tea time, don't talk about work. That's not the time. Talk before or after, but not during it. Yeah. It's very horrible that you are eating your lunch and somebody's constantly talking only about work. Nobody likes it. So wait for 5 minutes before or after. You don't have to use even the luncher to impose on work, right? Again, with family, remind them to, because the family always is there. Are you eating properly? Are you taking care of self? We also need to do that, right? When you're sailing or at work, are you eating properly? Encourage, your family to take care of themselves. Maybe send some gift through Amazon. Maybe order some ice creams once in a while. Whatever you can do, small gestures, especially on birthdays. And then coming to managing self, Again, working on your stress management skills, emotional intelligence, have as many tools as possible. Like I spoke about deep breathing, grounding, brisk walking. These are all very simple, doable things. As many as possible have in your toolkit. We don't know which one will be useful. Go on a mental holiday. Go to a very pleasant memory or photo albums. Some good times. That's a good diversion to come back, right? Again, when we say well-being, it's about physical, mental, and social that we're looking at. Now, finally, coming back to the psychological, component. This is the last part. Now, when we look at an individual as a psychologist, we have to look at the biological. There's a biological psychology paper separately. It is more biology than psychology. Look at their body, their condition, their hormone. Then there is a psychosocial component, which is more about their life events, experience, how their personality is shaped because of their past, how it is shaped because of their heredity factors, the family, the workplace culture, the environmental. Socioeconomic zone, status plays a major role. Someone will easily say, oh, if you feel stressed, don't take stress. But you are talking from a privilege where you can say, oh, I won't think about a problem. But some people are desperate. That is the only way that they are there inside, right? They are needed because of that. So the work environment, the political state of the country, if somebody is coming from a war affected area, they are going to be anxious people. They are going to be people who might have war neurosis, or, what they say, PTSD, because of the sound, loud noises. Now, we have to be sensitive regarding that to them, right? So these all will affect their reactions to certain situations. Same way, their developmental aspect. Like every 10 years, our priorities will change. What I wanted in my 20s is not what I want in my 30s, not what I want in my 40s, right? So every 10 years, it's going to change. We have to understand. Maybe what is very important for me, like my value right now is probably giving back to the society. But is it the same 10 years ago? No, I don't want to work for free in my 20s and 30s. I want to earn. But when I reach my 50s, I want to slow down. I want to give back to the society. So every 10 years, the developmental psychology talks about how our priorities change. So we need to understand, when you're dealing with a 20-year-old, what you think important is not at all important to that 20-year-old. Same way, the 20-year-old may not realize what work value and discipline is as much as you may, feel that as a senior. So we need to be empathetic regarding that. Their health, gender, because of the way each gender is treated, they would react differently to every threat and stress. Gender is just one aspect of diversity I have brought in, but there are so many discriminatory aspects that I didn't bring in today because it was more about psychology. So our needs and motives are different, and our physical aspects also. Some energy level, some people have more energy, less energy. The stamina is different. We need to consider all that. Yeah. One important thing that psychology believes is the law of individual difference, which means that each person is unique. But at the same time, we all have some common connections, some common responses. That's how it is a science, right? Our experience, our genetic component is very unique to us. Nobody else has it. Our personality, our typical trait and way of behavior. Some are introvert, some are extrovert, some are very disciplined, some are not at all, some are very open, some are very conservative. Now, all these are over the years that we have developed, observing our role models, our parents, our teachers, or our life experience. Maybe every time I spoke, I was nicely beaten up. So I decided I will be an introvert. But some people will say, every time I speak, people listen here. So I want to talk more. Right. So our traits evolve based on our experiences. Our intelligence is unique. It differs from person to person. When we say an average intelligence, somebody who can pass 10th standard, somebody who can read and write should be, having average intelligence. Now, remember, all intelligence, not everyone with high intelligence alone you will be noticing. There are people who may be in that curve on this side and that side. So probably the extremely intelligent people that you will come across in your life are only 15%. Everyone is in the average. Most of that, the 70% is average. Same way, 15% are people who may find it challenging to learn fast or adapt fast. But it doesn't apply to all. So intelligence is a broad spectrum. Attitude based on my positive, negative. If my first senior was bad, I am going to always be scared of every senior I'm going to see, right? So my attitude is formed based on that. Emotions. How do I regulate my emotion? How do I manage my emotion, my behavior? What motivates me? How do I deal with stress? What is my style of learning? We all learn differently. We observe and learn. We learn based on rewards. We learn based on information given to us. So our ability to learn also keeps changing as we grow older. The style of learning also keeps changing. And also our memory, short term, long term, how much our brain can hold, right? Some of the life experience that affect individuals are stress, coping, grief, trauma, abuse. Abuse is, we all know it can be physical, sexual, emotional, everything, psychological, PTSD, our culture, a value system, diversity. These are all factors that are going to affect, which will, touch our general health, work-life balance, our quality of life, our life satisfaction. So ultimately, we are looking at a better quality of life, a better work-life balance, a better life satisfaction, a better well-being. So these are all the factors that we have to keep in mind. Maybe they may not all come together, but they may take turns. They may come or not come at all, but we need to be aware when it is affecting us. A very simple exercise that you can practice with your colleagues is, how far will you trust this person to tell a secret? Now, that's always a activity that we do when, your most innermost secret, how far are you able to tell this person? Then you're not able to trust. Now, when you don't trust someone, they also are not going to trust you back. They can feel it. Now, that's the brain's ability to mirror, they will feel it. And then how far, when somebody is talking about a problem to you, how far are you able to listen without giving an advice? It's so tempting. No, my car is not starting. Did you try this? Did you check the petrol? Did you all that? Without that, why are they talking about their car not starting? They are in the office already. That means they went through some stress and they fixed the problem. They want to just vent it out. They are not, asking you for a solution, right? So how far are you able to listen and acknowledge without giving a solution? Now, that's a very important empathy exercise that we need to practice as well. With all these theories, why are we having all this? Of course, psychology is a very new field compared to all, after anthropology and all that. Maybe it's 100 years old now or 120 years old now. Little maybe younger than proper physics, which was documented physics. The same way documented psychology is what we are talking about. There have been a lot of training lessons in history that we read about. Definitely, they have used psychology in that. But all this is to create conditions to bring out the best in individuals. Understand that people are not perfect. Understand that training or expertise is not just for those on top. Understand that every person needs to adapt to the job. That's the person job fit. They need to integrate their work and personal life. It's not that when I come to work, I'm going to leave one part of me somewhere. We need to integrate work and life. It's a set of trainable, developable skills. Everyone has access to information. Everyone needs to upgrade, right? So we cannot assume, oh, these juniors, they don't know anything, only I know everything. All they have to do is check online or go to the internet. They will find some way to get things done. So it's not about giving information as a senior alone. It is more about encouraging to, have fun learning, how to make the learning process enjoyable, how to work on that attitude. Right. Some areas on psychology that I used in my research as well. First and foremost is organizational psychology, right? Everywhere, leadership, motivation, teamwork, everything comes in that. Environmental psychology, of course, how the effect of noise, everything creates an overload and affects our cognitive functions. General psychology, personality, motivation, emotion, stress, learning, they all come in that. Cross-cultural psychology, because of the global culture, because of differing work values. Every country and nationality have their own. It's not that one country is better than the other. We all come with our own work values. So how to match it so we all are able to work together? Cognitive psychology. The whole human errors is in cognitive psychology only. Decision making, attention, memory, everything comes in that. Social psychology comes in relationships, support system, families, group dynamics. Counseling psychology, that's where mental health, workers are there helping in decision, problem solving, coping. Abnormal psychology is a field where clinical psychologists, medical professionals, the disorders and illnesses, this is where, this area comes. And then we have many more areas. Research and development, is always constant work in progress. community psychology, development psychology, educational training. You cannot have a training program without understanding educational psychology. We need to understand how to educate, how to learn, how adults learn, how youngsters learn, how different countries have different learning methods, right? Positive psychology is this whole, working on protective factors rather than risk factors. All this while we are only, okay, this is a risky person, this is a risky environment, reduce the risk. But in spite of it, some have managed. So that is the protective factor, right? So focusing on protective factors, strengths of the people to deal with the situation, that's where all your resilience and, resilience is one part of the psychological capital. Psychological capital is hero, hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. So it's just one part of psychological capital, which is part of positive psychology that we are talking a lot about. But all these are important. We cannot ignore the other three, right? There are many more emerging fields, which I think my staff got excited when I asked them to make a list of things, and they have made all this. Neuropsychology, eco-psychology, how artificial intelligence is helping understand human brain. It's a big area now. So through computers, we are understanding human brain. Still, human brain is not completely decoded. How it works, how it multitasks, and how the environment affects our work, space affects our work, how every culture has a genetic component which contributes to certain behaviors, right? Future directions, yes, train more seafarers and their families in barefoot counseling, encourage more support person who can empathize better, with better referrals and interventions can be provided. Recognize seafarers as a community. This is something that I have noticed in all other, marine or air force. There is a kind of bonding. The defense have a quarters. They all live together. So they all are able to look after each other. But here we are all very isolated once you're on vacation. So we have to encourage this, like your association, right? So we have to encourage that. Okay, as a community, you have some common practices, common traditions, you all come together, interact, so you have a system to take care of each other, which is there in cities, but I don't see much in towns and villages. So that's some major cities, metros have some support system. We always look forward to our Mariners night and once a year annual dinner and all that, but it can be more opportunities, right? Identify and upgrade obsolete machineries and process and work systems, assuming people should learn old method when they not even have seen it in all their life growing up, and suddenly one new method of working which is not even more advanced. So we have to constantly ask for an upgrade or implement some changes in process which we know are already not up to the mark. Reduce power high and power mongering. I think it's very easy, when you're in a leadership role, people are scared of you, people are obeying you. So you may get a high on people being scared of you. So that is something that we have to keep in check personally, or ask someone to remind you, come on, you are unnecessarily using your power. This is not the right way. So you need to reduce that power high and power mongering, which will result easily due to hierarchy. So more flat system is always better. Look out for signs of mental health issues and act immediately. Everyone's safety is everyone's responsibility. We cannot say, oh, he's not my department, not my team. You know it is something odd, immediately report, work on it. There's nothing wrong in it. Invest in research and development, right? Constantly we need to improvise, right? And the last point, never hesitate to call a professional, even if it is a false alarm, right? It's okay. Maybe you didn't notice properly, but it's always safe than sorry, right? Some of the books, if you have time, you can order through Amazon and keep it to your collection or in your library, or go through points. It's very difficult to go through the whole books at one setting. Just go chapter by chapter or topic by topic at leisure, right? Some books are enjoyable, some are not. So these are some of the books that you can look at. And yes, so with this, I come to the end of the talk. That's about how to, healthy mental health practices, importance of mental health, and the psychological dimensions, how we work on, in the maritime sector. So that's about it. Feel free to ask questions. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yes, madam. And yeah, thank you very much, madam. Before we get into the Q&A, I'm sure for such a detailed, presentation, I would request our master chairman to say a few words. Captain MP Basin. Come in, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, Dr. Sandhya ji, it was really enlightening to listen to you.
Thank you.
I caught two things immediately, and you also mentioned that. We have been hearing many things about the mental wellness and all that. You said coping. You said coping with it. And then you also shared some other few steps. Very, very enlightening. आज की डेट में I don't think there's any job, maybe marine, maybe office job, maybe any other industry. Stress is a part of life. I do feel that. But it is the coping, it is the how you cope with it. That is the way forward. So both अच्छा लगा. I really felt very, very happy, very nice listening to you. And you are also part of the maritime family. Husband belonging to a very big group. It's so nice to see you on the screen. Hopefully, I look forward to meeting you personally also. मुझे एक और चीज बोलनी है. आपने लास्ट स्लाइड दिखाई वो बुक्स की, So I would like to, if you can share that, अभी मैं I could not take down the names of the book. Maybe if you can share, it's good to
Yes,
know.
I will. Yeah.
Coming from you, especially the reference books, that is very, very important. And I'm really glad and I'm really thank you from the bottom of my heart. And also, I'm sure all the people on the screen, our people online, they must have enjoyed the listening. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Basin, sir. I would like to request our past master, Captain Philip Matthew, to say a few words. Yeah, Philip Matthew.
I have shared this in the chat box.
Matthew, you're muted.
You're mute.
I have shared the PDF of this presentation in the chat box. I'll also mail it to you later.
Oh, thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
ma'am.
Very helpful.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was such a fantastic, session that we had after a long time, and I'm very grateful for this. I have taken the photo of those books so that I can order it in my library immediately, maybe on Monday itself. And also, I think we should have a repeat session of this some other time in a more elaborate way, in some possibly in a seminar or something. And we are very grateful for this. I have one query. Madam, today the problem is oversupply of internet. Internet is something indispensable. There is an oversupply of knowledge. And this knowledge has brought down the generation gap, which we were thinking was 10 years to 2 years. And I find seafarers and students also finding it very difficult to cope with it. What do you suggest? How do you, talk to the students and help them to get out of such issues?
I think with the internet, there is no getting out, All we can do is what to get out of it. There is so much, right? There is so much, and it's so much part of our life. It is like probably our parents were worried when we were watching too much TV. Now TV is just lying in some corner. We watch only what we want. We don't watch everything. Okay, I want to watch one series in Netflix, I watch it, right? Phone is the same. There was a time when we'll all be glued to the phone, but now you are like, how much to look at the phone, so I think it's a process that we all have to go through before it becomes part of life, and we are able to pick and choose what to take from it. We can't say don't use internet. We can only guide on how to use it, more usefully. So that's the only way we can. The internet also has educational videos, relaxation videos, but do we watch all of it every day? So that's the question. And that's one important thing is also role modeling. All said and done, if we let them know that all my expertise and knowledge I got from here by reading here, it need not be a book, it can also be a website. So then they know that you're not against internet, you're only against unhealthy usage. So that is one way that, because if you don't respect and if you generalize and say, oh, this is useless, they are going to shut you out. So next generation, because for them, many are making money in their teens, posting some random travel photos and videos. So you cannot tell them internet is useless, right? So how we are able to both come to an agreement how to use is what we need to understand.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. And it was an excellent presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you, Philip Matthew. Thank you very much. I will now invite Captain Bandarkar back again. He wanted to say a few words. Bandarkar sir, please come in.
Yeah, hi, good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much. Before I start off what I want to say, I wanted to ask you a question on panic attacks. Today, I think panic attack is not identified properly. There are seafarers who, insist that I want to go home now and I don't want to stay. I mean, your ship is in the middle of the sea, and then even the captain, chief engineer, who are the senior officer, cannot cajole a youngster. So, just this thing, how do you deal with it? A small question on that.
Right. Sir, any such attack, no, it is not suddenly formed. It's formed over the years. So, immediately we can only regulate it a little bit. It cannot be just stopped completely with one phone call or anything. But hyperventilating is what happens, no, during panic attack. So, if we have one exercise in therapy where even when the person is not getting panic attack, we ask them to breathe heavily, and then we ask them what happens when you breathe, when you breathe like that. And they say, I start feeling giddy, I start feeling, cloudy. It becomes very tiring and exhausting. So then they're able to understand that the panic attack is causing the giddiness. It's not the problem. It is the hyperventilation. So once, because the thought of this danger, what do I do? I have no control over it. We need to slowly remind them, bring them back to a state where, yes, you are in charge, you can handle it. Let's focus on one step at a time. Because any panic is because of an anxiety, right? Worrying too much about what is going to happen. So that worry of consequence, the fear of consequence, everything, we need to gradually bring it out. One of the best ways is regulating breathing. If they are hyperventilating, prolonging, practicing very deep, slow breath, like if they are breathing like, they can do inhale, exhale for longer time. The person nearby can tell them breathe slowly, and help them to regulate the body first. And then we need to focus on what are we going to prioritize now. It's not easy, of course. It's not just like that you can do, but with training, it is possible. Yeah, but if that person needs to, undergo some sort of exercise or therapy to be able to manage it. And most of it is because, oh, nothing is in my control, everything is out of control. Reminding them that you are in control of your body and your actions. You don't have to control everything else. You don't have to control what others think, what others do. That we cannot just make others think the way we want them, right? They will think what they want. So, and helping them understand what is in their control and what is not in their control, and regulating their breathing can slowly reduce it. And this is what we've tried couple of times.
Thank you very much. I would like to now, before we conclude, think of something our country is going through. One, we have just lost a couple of lives with the Air India flight.
Sorry.
We are having several accidents happening on our coast. They are very sad. I wish all of us gather together and spend at least a minute in thought and in prayers to these mishaps so we don't have any. So I request a minute of silence. Thank you very much. I am very grateful to all of us. Pray for the departed soul. Thank you. Captain Sashi.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Madam, sorry, we have a few more questions. So I will first start with Sudhir. Can you ask your person to ask the question?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. My name is Amit, Captain Amit Bhandari. I am also a maritime counselor. Thank you, madam, for a lovely session. Ma'am, something which has bothered me in my own life, and I feel I don't know what's the right solution to it as yet. The hierarchy on board is so strong. Is it a good idea to keep that hierarchy because the work is so demanding? Or is it better to move the European way and let them put their hand around your shoulder and as a captain or a chief engineer and let the juniors be very comfortable with you in that manner. So there is this gap here where I am personally also not able to find this uh, sweet spot. So what is your comment on this, madam?
See, culturally, the Asian side, I think it's all very authoritative parenting and very clear respect for the parent and eventually, so culturally, it's very difficult to come out of it, first of all, for us to adapt to the, not everything in the West is the best, so it's not that. There is also something else that they have which helps them to deal with it, like respect for professional boundaries. Here, the fear is the moment hierarchy is gone, people are worried they're taken for granted. People are worried that, they're taken advantage of, So every time I try to be lenient, people have misused that freedom. So I think that's the whole fear and adaptation that takes time more than, changing the whole thing. Respecting boundaries, irrespective of whether hierarchy is there or not, and knowing your limits is something which will help you reduce the fear at least, So uh, I personally feel hierarchy is not needed, but there are times when you're making decisions, you are better informed and experienced, and sometimes you need to take a call as well. So there's a lot of cultural component. It's not easy to take off. Though we, in the ideal world, we want to take it off, but in the real world, it doesn't happen.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
There is another few questions, but I will just there's somebody who wanted to that if you have any of your research papers, please share. Well, that's what is put there. And one more question: what is the best way to release sad news to someone on board, as there is hardly any guidance to ship's master seniors? Well,
It's a difficult thing only. Uh, but what is the process? Because in hospitals and all, it's very clear. It's only the doctor who should convey, right? So, are there clear process here where who should convey? It's always the master, uh, senior.
yes, madam.
Yeah. So I think, like you convey any serious information, your body language should be serious enough. You should be prepared for any kind of reaction. It's not necessary they are going to be calm, and don't take it personally. Help them to process the information, give them time to process and accept. But better to make it, just give them a primer, give them some preparation, priming them that I'm going to say something very important and serious, so that whatever mental state they are able to calm down and focus, and then convey what needs to be conveyed, and then you can help them, provide them necessary support and help them, give them time to cope with it also. Body
Right.
language becomes very important, your tone becomes very important. Giving it in privacy, in isolation, all this will help them to process better, I think. And these are some simple techniques that we use, but the sooner the better. Wasting time doesn't help. You don't have to wait for the right time, right moment. You don't have to wait for days. Maybe, the sooner the better.
How about
Thank you very
sharing?
much, madam. Joshi,
Uh,
you have another question?
No, regarding this only, the master is supposed to deal with this as a main senior most and experienced person. Now, with the advent of the communication equipment, they would come to know about it. but the families have certain views about it, not to release that information to him or her, and then it becomes very difficult for us to cope up with that. Now, even I had several such occasions in my life, breaking that news to somebody. As you mentioned rightly, the tone and various things, expressions does help, but he is going to ultimately find it out within matter of few minutes, probably nowadays, and it becomes to honor the respect the wish of the family. We try to do something. In that case, the master can be looked at that he concealed the information from me, did not release it to me, so it becomes
Yeah, that
awkward.
sense of betrayal will be there,
Yes.
but we can't help it. I think we have to consider the person receiving the information, how much right they have. When it's a spouse or a parent, it's different. When it's probably a second or third relative, it's a different story, right? So, what is the degree of closeness they have with the person has to be considered also. Just every
And,
random news we need not if the
and
family decides don't tell, it's different. But they all, any person hearing would have wanted to hear it sooner. Yeah. We have to
Thank you,
respect.
madam. Thank you, Joshi. We have one hand raised. That's going to be the last question from Captain R.B. Deer. Come in, sir.
Yes, madam. My
Uh,
question is that when you do the selection of these boys or girls, the candidates, we generally look at the marks, who got the
mm,
more marks, so that
mm.
select the person. But how to make sure that this candidate going to stay at C or no, or in the middle C, he say I want to go home.
Yeah, that all their training preparation. Many times, if they want to go home, the ship is bad, sir. The seniors are bad, or they're not giving the right environment. Maybe these people are not. For example, this generation, we call them the generation Alpha and whatever, generation Z. I think now we are working with generation Z, then generation Alpha. They're very empowered group. There was once upon a time when people came to work just for money or they were desperate for the job. Here they're like, okay, if not this job, I will try something else. There are so many options. So now we cannot treat them, oh, I will sack you if you don't listen to me. They will say, oh, okay, sack. No, I don't care. I have other job options, right? So I think how to get things done. There are a lot of research which says that people don't quit companies, they quit their managers. So it's usually the immediate environment which will make them take the call, and it's not their problem or their attitude. We would have noticed is by the time they finish their training and orientation, they usually are mentally prepared. So many lectures the shipping staff is giving about how to handle pressures at sea, they're all well prepared. Maybe the actual reality may shock it, and 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 may drop out. Right, but if it is becoming more and more, then we have to look at what is happening on board. Why is it that they are not able to stick on? We have to look.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, madam. We
One
have one last question from
one question I see here in the chat
Ajay.
bar. Yeah,
Ajay,
logotherapy
yes.
and barefoot. Yeah, it's barefoot counseling. It's not barefoot psychology, which means the counseling needs a master's degree, counseling psychology. But barefoot psychology is counseling skills given to, the first responders and frontline, helpers who are there working in the field as social workers or, using counseling, even medical professionals, HRs, teachers, they can all learn barefoot counseling skills so that the way they talk to people can be addressed. Coming to logotherapy, yeah, I think after the book, Viktor Frankl's book, I think logotherapy is a big deal now. It is one of the psychotherapy approaches that we are trained in. Now it is regaining. See, logotherapy is about finding new purpose, new meaning, right? And
मुझे बताओ ना किधर है
when we are talking about totally helpless situation like refugees or like childless couples, in
दो
fact,
है
he uses a lot of logotherapy. When it's a situation where there is no other hope or scope and there's nothing left in life, it's very easy for a person to think of ending things. So that is why bringing new purpose, new meaning in life, finding new ways to have a purpose in life becomes important. Now, every therapy I feel may or may not fit everyone. There are many more therapies. There is CBT, there is psychoanalytics, there is solution focused. We have to find out if this issue needs logotherapy. right? And then we can take a call. Okay, for this person, for this issue, logotherapy will work better than other methods of therapy, and then we work accordingly. So that's my take on logotherapy and barefoot counseling.
Thank you very much, madam. I think it's becoming a very engrossing session today. But I will request, so many questions have come up. I'll ask them to send us a mail, and we'll get back to you. I'd just like to close the session with a vote of thanks. It's my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks at the conclusion of today's insightful session. Respected office bearers, wardens, senior members, and guests. First and foremost, our sincere gratitude to Dr. Sandhya Rani, consultant, organizational and consulting psychologist, for sharing our expert insight in today's psychological dimension in mental health in maritime sector. Thank you, madam, for your time and your valuable contribution. We also like to thank the media. I'd like to thank Captain Santakumar for graciously introducing our speaker, Captain MP Basin for a few words, Captain Bandarkar, and of course, Captain Philip Matthew, our past master, for those lovely words. Our appreciation also goes to Mr. Sudhir Palkar and Kumar, who work from the back end office. Lastly, a big thank to each one of every participant, and your presence engagement made the session meaningful and successful. Thank you all once again, and we look forward for your continued support in the future events. And I would like to inform everybody that we will be sending the PPT. We'll be uploading the PPT. If there's any questions, definitely, madam will be, willing to answer. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank
And
you so
thank
much
you all.
for this opportunity. It's been a privilege, and it's very encouraging for me that you're also, so receptive and asking such important questions. I think somewhere you're all.
It's become a consultation route. And madam, I think it is Singapore time. I don't want to. Yeah, in Singapore time, I don't want to take a thing. Thank you so much for getting back to us. Thank you, madam. And
Thank
good night to
Thank you, madam. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
I can leave the group, right?
Yes, madam. Yes,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.